Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 9th edition of the Network Update. I hope you all are enjoying this warm spring day here in Colorado before it turns into winter in less than 24 hours. Springtime. Gotta love it, right? So, a couple of things came across my desk that I did want to pass along to you today. The first of them is a report from my liability insurance company, which is HPSO. It's the malpractice insurance for the American Counseling Association. And I know that they also insure hundreds of thousands of other people across the United States. They put out a report which summarizes their claims from the last 5 years. In that 5 years, they have tracked the number of cases that they have had to make a payout for, as well as the number of cases that have been dismissed or not resulted in any action. There is good news here, and there is some really not good news here. The good news is that 70% of the cases that HPSO was involved in were dismissed, and no liability was found on the part of counselors. I always think that's reassuring. I know that in the state of Colorado, about 80% of all of the grievances that are filed are actually dismissed. So I find that to be a good reminder of how important it is to keep these ethical and legal concerns in mind and to make sure that we are vigilant about them. The bad news in this report, which I will come up here and show you, is that, let me find my page. There were 3 categories of claims that HPSO recognized. So these are based on the Code of Ethics from the American Counseling Association. The first category is the counseling relationship. And that's what I wanted to pass on to you today that I thought was both interesting and really not good news at all. The highest payout in this category from HPSO was for sexual relationships with a client, a former client, or that client's family member. It's amazing to me to hear that this is still happening. So boundaries are something I know we talk about all the time, but are just so important to be aware of. HPSO publishes highlights on various ethical issues, and they have published a boundary checklist that is really helpful. I was hopeful I could pull it up for you, but I have that, and if you want to just do a self-test, I'd be happy to send that boundaries checklist to you. Actually, I'll attach it to the email with the link to this video. We just cannot be too self-aware or too vigilant about these issues regarding boundaries. There was another finding that I also thought was important to highlight and for us to be thinking about, and that is the issue of treatment plans. You can see from the page here that there were 2 things that counselors were held liable for, both related to treatment planning. One is that the plan was inconsistent with the client's abilities or circumstances. And then the second was that the plan failed to provide reasonable expectations of success. I don't think we talk about treatment planning and assessment enough as we are doing case consultation. So if you feel like you would benefit from bringing up those kinds of questions, I think it's great fodder for our meetings. Okay, that's enough about that for now. If you're interested in reading this whole thing, I'd be happy to send you the entire report. And I'll probably talk about a couple of other things in the weeks to come. All right, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about was a question that came to me. One of you had a question about one of your clients who is husband and father and experiencing postpartum depression. That is not something that we really hear very much about, but it does happen. I thought you might be interested in a couple of facts about that and a link to an article. So a couple of facts. About 10% of new fathers will experience postpartum depression. Second fact that is interesting in my mind is that even in the animal kingdom, the research has shown us that testosterone levels decrease when the males are involved in the caretaking of the pups or the young. A couple of researchers have just done a study with fathers and also found that there was a correlation between lowered testosterone and postpartum dads. So this is an article from Scientific American. There it is. And I can send you the link in the email that lets you know about this video if you're interested in reading further about that. Depression, in my view, which is the biopsychosocial model, is always a combination of biochemical, cognitive, emotional, interpersonal, and spiritual processes. So I don't find it particularly useful to make a direct correlation between any one of those things and depression. But we do want to know about each of those things as we're dealing with clients. All right, so that is enough of that. And the final thing for today, let's see. I got a flyer for a psychopharmacology workshop. This is being offered in Colorado. Do I have that straight? 3 different times in the month of June, I believe. Just read a statistic that 40% of adults in the United States are taking an antidepressant. That wasn't surprising to me, but I think it is a very interesting truth. I would say most of my clients, great majority, are on medications before they start therapy. Obviously, we can't say anything. We can't make any recommendations or it's outside the scope of practice to be discussing medication options with clients. However, I do think it's really important and necessary for us to know about psychotropics. Okay, so if you want a copy of the flyer, I'm happy to send that to you. Okay, that is it for today. I hope that you all are doing really well, and I will look forward to talking with you very soon. Take care.